MACV-SOG operators and their weapons have become the subject of action figures, video games, and the occasional reenactment. It's a little embarrassing, because those of us, and I certainly include myself in this list, who served in SOG are responsible. When we first got to SOG, we entered a world filled with exotic weapons and equipment. It was almost impossible to avoid playing dress up. Arranging and rearranging equipment, handling various firearms. And of course, taking pictures. Pictures that would later be turned into action figures. But that quickly came to an end. About the time you first heard that a team was shot up or lost. You stopped taking pictures and got serious, realizing that your weapons were just a tool. A tool that enabled you to save, and take lives. Here are the 3 weapons that the vast majority of SOG operators carried on missions. Before MACV-SOG launched its first top-secret operation into Laos, in October 1965, a series of ground rules were hammered out. The Pentagon ordered that American fighters would enter Laos sterile. This meant that they were forbidden to take dog tags or identification. Uniforms would be stripped of insignia. Weapons and equipment had to be in common use by various militaries. Used, fully automatic, M2 carbines were readily available on the world arms market. SOG purchased them and a variety of other weapons for their mercenary fighters. After a short evaluation period, SOG purchased new Carl Gustaf M45 submachine guns from their Swedish arms factory for the Americans. Known as the Swedish K, it is a relatively simple and robust design, with few moving parts and a sturdy construction. It fires the standard 9x19mm parabellum pistol round from a 36-round double-stack box magazine. It has a folding metal stock and a fixed wooden grip. The iron sights are adjustable and protected by metal flanges. The Swedish K uses a blowback mechanism, with a fixed firing pin, which means that the energy generated by the firing of a round is used to cycle the action. In terms of performance, the Swedish K is known for its reliability and accuracy. It has relatively low recoil, which allows for quick and accurate follow-up shots. The weapon is fully automatic only, however the operator can easily learn to fire single rounds, due to its fairly low 600 round per minute, cyclic rate of fire. Because the bolt is positioned at the rear, the delay between pulling the trigger and the first round being fired takes some practice to keep its 8.3-inch barrel from dipping. Its compact size and light weight make it highly maneuverable in close quarters. The Swedish K weighs 7.4 pounds, and is 32 inches long with the folding stock deployed. Folding the stock reduces its length by 10 inches. The special forces of MACV-SOG were quite satisfied with this weapon. As their operations ramped up during 1966, the enemy in Laos was occupied with building the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and air attacks were their primary security concern. Although their Viet Cong allies informed them of the coming SOG incursions, the North Vietnamese considered them too few and far between to justify a ground security build-up on the trail. As a result, when SOG infiltrators encountered the North Vietnamese, they mainly consisted of poorly armed and trained troops. Heavily armed troops in transit were observed and avoided. The Swedish K submachine gun was perfect for their mission. During 1967, as SOG missions became more frequent, the enemy began to take their threat more seriously, guarding larger and larger portions of their supply corridor with frontline troops, armed with AK-47 rifles, B-40 rockets and RPD machine guns. With these contacts becoming more frequent, the Special Forces troops quickly realized that they were being outgunned. As the rules for weapons carried into Laos became less restrictive, some turned to the M16 rifle. With a muzzle velocity more than double that of the Swedish K, it had the hitting power to compete with the AK-47. However, at 7 inches longer than the Swedish K, with a fixed stock, it was unwieldy in the jungle. When fired it gave off a crackle sound, and combined with the twang of the buffer spring, housed in the large plastic stock, many dubbed it the Matty Mattel, after the toy company. But the major concern was reliability. Being complex and expensive is an American arms tradition. The M16 suffered from a failure to feed rounds, from the magazine into the chamber, and stovepipe issues. A stovepipe is a mechanical failure where the bullet casing gets stuck in the ejection port, making the weapon inoperable. This caused many of SOG's operators to stick with the dependable Swedish K. In late 1967, SOG began to receive the CAR-15 rifle. The first of these weapons were experimental versions, with a 10-inch barrel, and proved to be no more dependable than the M16s. However, they were quickly replaced with the 11.5-inch model that proved very reliable. Surprisingly, the sturdy black rifle weighed in at 2 pounds less than the Swedish K, because it didn't need the heavy bolt demanded by a blowback system. The all-metal collapsible stock got rid of the annoying twang sound. It was 30 inches long and the stock could be extended an additional 2.5 inches, making it ideal for close-contact jungle fighting. The barrel was fitted with a suppressor that slightly muffled the weapon's sound and lowered its pitch. Recoil was negligible and the effective firing range was 400 meters. Capable of firing in both single-shot and full automatic modes, the selector was activated by the thumb of a right-handed operator, creating a distinct advantage over the AK-47, which required removing your finger from the trigger in order to take the weapon off safe. Not being ambidextrous, it was prudent to keep left-handed shooters off the point. The 5.56 NATO cartridge was fed by a 20-round magazine, that was replaced by a 30-round version in 1970. It was fired from the CAR-15 at a muzzle velocity of 2,750 feet per second, causing a devastating wound cavity, not only compared to the Swedish K, but also to most other infantry squad rifles available at that time. MACV-SOG's operators quickly adopted the CAR-15. Indeed, it became their signature weapon. It arrived just in time. 1968 was about to present SOG's ground operators with their greatest challenge. The days of the dependable Swedish K's usefulness were over. However, plenty were still available for new volunteers to pose with. This video was created by the author of Dawson's War. The book follows 5 main characters, uniquely including 2 Montagnard mercenaries, through a year of fighting for MACV-SOG. With hundreds of 5-star reviews, it's a very entertaining and informative read. Dawson's War is available at Amazon.com.